All right, all right. We are live. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome to Sister Connection show. Super excited for each and every one of you for being here. If you happen to be, hey, there goes Tawanta. If you guys happen to be watching this on a replay, go ahead and type in hashtag replay. Hey, sister friend.
Hey, sorry
How
about that.
It is okay. The weather has been crazy, guys. So if my internet acts up, just let me know in the chat. This For those of you who are struggling right now, or the weather has been a challenge. My Our prayers go out to each and every one of you. Me here in New York, we've had ton of snow. I know New Jersey is having a lot of snow. The snow removal and the whole process of maintaining that, I know, has been a challenge. This has been bad. It's been real bad. So again, guys, just stay safe. Try to stay off the roads as much as you can. And yes, definitely stay safe. Stay warm. Stay warm. There has also, I've heard there's been some power outages as well. So definitely, guys, call your 311, all the things. Another thing that I've heard, I was on 2 community board calls today, and they was talking about even after the snow melts, it could be some flooding and things like that. So y'all, let's just stay prayerful and hopeful. How's it over there by you,
Oh,
Tawanta?
it's fine. I mean, we got a little bit of snow, but nothing too drastic like it back at home, of course. But it's
Hmm.
cold, of course, but it's
Right.
way better comparing to what you guys are getting now.
Oh yes, yes. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's
How
crazy.
much you got?
We got about maybe 17 inches of
Mm.
snow.
And it's
It's
still
been a
snowing?
Yeah, because a lot of the snow that we've had weeks ago, it's
Mhm.
a lot of it has not,
Melted
melted.
away.
So like on top of ice, on top of that. So
Hmm.
it's a struggle. They closed down the schools today. They're going to be opening the schools tomorrow, which I don't know why they're opening the schools tomorrow because it's still bad out there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with our mayor. I love him, but I don't know what's wrong with him today. But yeah.
So
So
they'll be absent tomorrow.
I
Okay.
just they and they will be for sure because
Thank
I'm
you.
not battling all that. And today's topic is very timely. I have to say, especially for me today, right? It's
Yeah.
very, very timely. Let me know real quick, Tuan. Does my sound good?
Yep.
Perfect, perfect. All right, let's get into today's topic, everyone. Let's jump right into it. I'm gonna have you go ahead and explain it, Tuanta. Go ahead, sis.
Can you still see me?
Yep, I see you real
Okay,
good.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yep, yep, yep.
Well, yeah, we are talking about just breathing, y'all. We
Right.
need to just breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody just take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Yeah, this is what we need to start
That felt
doing.
good.
Look at go, girl.
It sure did. Yes, yes.
That's what we need to start practicing every single day
Right.
because the stress of life that is, things happen that is so beyond our control. As you mentioned about the weather, that is so beyond our control, and it causes so much setbacks and stuff. But on top of other things that's going on in your life, right, sometimes we forget to breathe. So we're going to talk about several points we got to share with you tonight very quickly. And so you just to remind you what you need to do and how valuable and precious breathing is overall, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. So we're going to go ahead and post the first point. So let's go ahead and get started on that, Therese. So the first point that we are going to be talking about, breathe in, right? Because we got to breathe in, y'all, right? And receive God's presence, right? We're going to breathe in and receive God's presence. Now, what I want y'all ladies to do, and those of you who are watching the replay, of course, I want you to get out a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and I want you to write a couple of scripture verses here for you ladies, so you can be able to practice this and apply this in your daily, your daily schedule, your daily life, or what have you, especially during your reading time. But anyway, for Genesis, this is in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 7. That's one scripture verse. And the second one is Psalm 46. verse 10. So let me get Genesis 2:7 very quickly for you, queens. And let's see. Okay, so it says here that the Lord took some soil from the ground and made a man. God breathed life into the man, and the man started breathing. So, man is universal, meaning, well, we start with Adam first, of course. He's talking about Adam, but overall, it is referring to all of us, right? So, he breathed life into us. So, what does that mean about breathing life to us? God's breath represents life, it represents renewal, and his nearness. When we become overwhelmed, which I know a lot of us have been, if not already, our breathing becomes very shallow, or it becomes shallow, right? Spiritually wise, we become the same way. We so we're living in survival mode. How many of you heard of that word before? Survival mode, but we're not surrendering. So we're living in survival mode, not surrender mode. Okay, and that's something huge to really ponder on, because a lot of us will say, I'm just surviving, girl. I'm just surviving. Right? I'm just getting by, So, but we need to really start, not continue to live that lie. Okay, because we're not just surviving. It's God's breath in us. He is the one that's keeping us alive, right? And so we have to truly value the blessings of gift, or the gift of breathing, right? Like I said, God's breath represents life. Thank God we are alive today, right? And it also represents renewal. So we got to really realize today is the day that we can start fresh. We can start new. When you breathe in, and like I said, we took that breath and we felt good. It felt really good to breathe in, right? So we need to breathe in and just take a second to just remember that God's breath, it represents renewal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it also brings us closer to Him,
Mm-hmm.
right? So before we solve these problems, or fixing the situations, or carrying everyone else's burdens, because that's a lot on us too. Some of us are carrying our kids' burdens,
Mm-hmm.
our family members'
Mm-hmm.
uh, burdens. We need to pause,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need to learn how to be quiet, and be still, right? And let yourself breathe in God's presence. So
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you just one question, and then I pass it on to Tisha. When
Mm-hmm.
was the last time you intentionally paused and
Mm-hmm.
just sat with God?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When was
Intentionally.
the last time you
Mm-hmm.
intentionally
Mm-hmm.
paused and just
Mm-hmm.
sat with God,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's something for you to ponder on. You could write that question if you need to, and you could just
Mm-hmm.
answer it on your own times. But when was that last time you actually said, you know what, I just need to chill, I need to take a break, I need to take a
Mm-hmm.
breather, and just let me just be still and just listen for God's voice,
Mm-hmm.
for Him to guide me and direct me. Go ahead, Tisha.
I love that. And I'm just going to piggyback back off of that question. Intentionality is so important. Is you like literally blocking out time, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying, in your schedule, in your day, to be intentional, to sit down with him. And I think that's definitely important. I know it's something that I personally need to do more of, since, for me, we're like in the season of Lent, and that started last week with Ash Wednesday. And it's that intention of the next 40 days of spending that time, like my pastor said it on Sunday, pray more without ceasing. There's so much going in the world, with the weather, with the government, with everything, war, you know what I'm saying, even within our own families. There's wars and battles. Instead of us working with each other, we're working against each other. And some of you guys are experiencing that in your churches, at your job, in your business, and all these different places. And sometimes we're not really thinking about, well, am I sitting in spending time with God, or am I spending more time with on the problem? You know what I'm saying? So for me personally, my biggest challenge that I'm working through in my personal life right now is to just be emotionally untouched. Is in a sense of me saying, you know what, I know there's a lot going on that I don't like, but I need to still sit and still have that sense of peace, and knowing that everything's going to work for everything, whether good, bad, or indifferent, works according to his will, works according to his good. And that's where the breathing comes in. That's where like your spirit is resting, because sometimes our bodies can be resting, right? We could be sleeping, or we could be just sitting on a chair, we could just be watching TV, but our minds is going through a roller coaster, right? We're worrying about this, we're focused on that. Even last week we talked about this, how we are thinking about things, right, that has not even happened, or probably would never will happen, but we think about those things, and we're putting so much stress, right? We're putting so much stress on ourselves, and it doesn't make sense. So, we got to really spend that intentional time, with prayer, with even reading the word more, with having conversations with other women. Whether you find like a committee. I know in my church we have a lot of different committees or different things that you can find where you can have that conversation and talk about scripture and things like that. Those things are so important. But yes, that's a really good point.
Good. Amen. Yeah. Let's go
Mhm.
to our second point, lady. So we breathing in. So now it's time to exhale that bad boy out.
Yes, yes, let it out.
Yeah. So let's go to our second point. Breathe out, meaning
Mhm.
release what you cannot carry.
Mhm.
So again, here are some two scriptures here that I want you ladies to definitely check out. The first one is 1 Peter 5 verse 7. And it says, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Right.
Mhm.
And Matthew chapter 11, verse 28, verse 30. Okay. And that one says, and come unto me, all ye that labor and heavy laden.
Mhm.
It says, and I will give
Mhm.
you rest. Take the yoke I give you, put it on your shoulders, and learn
Mhm.
from me. I am
Mhm.
gentle and humble, and you will find rest. And this
Mhm.
yoke is easy to bear, and this burden is light. Okay.
Mhm.
So, of course, we carry so much. And here's the thing, sometimes we don't even think we're carrying anything. We think that
Mhm.
we're good, that we're fine. You okay, babe? You did? Aw. Oh, Naya's here.
Hi, Naya.
Hello.
Yeah, I was telling your mom the other day. I was like, she got a boyfriend because I saw you at that restaurant.
Which one? Oh, not yet.
Tell me which one.
Not yet.
I
Hold
said she
on.
got a
We're
boyfriend. She's
working
like, no.
on
I was like, okay, I'm watching
it.
her.
We ain't working on nothing. She ain't
We're
get.
working on
We
it.
ain't got no boyfriend. No, 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 no.
That's what I told her. I was like, Tawana, she got a boyfriend. She's like, what
No,
you saw? I'm like, girl, you gotta go check her Instagrams.
no, I don't have one. We're working on it. It's in progress. It's a
We
work
mean
in
it's in
progress.
progress.
It's a work in progress.
What do you mean?
Oh, man, baby,
We gonna
you
talk
better.
after this is over.
I'll work that progress, honey, because boys are a waste of time, big time.
It's
Okay.
not waste of time.
Period.
They always time.
It ain't gonna waste of time.
Yeah. So I was just saying sorry about that. Yeah. Hope you feel better.
Feel better.
Thanks.
Hope she didn't catch that stomach bug because I just had that.
Her
Oh
time
no.
of
Girl.
the month, the ladies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead, mama.
Yeah.
My daughter does the same thing. Keeping it real.
Girl, I tell you, it's a lot for us ladies to carry.
It is a lot for us to carry. Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
So
Yes.
yeah, very quickly. So yeah, we many women we carry number one hitting and if you ladies, when once I describe these or share these, put that in the comment. Like if this does this apply to you? Family pressure. How many of you carry family pressure? Right. The second thing, how many of you carry financial stress? I think that's for a majority of us, right? And how many of you carry emotional wounds? There's a lot of us that are still holding on to wounds,
Mm-hmm.
it's and it's painful and it's causing so much stress and strain. And the last one is expectations.
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
many women carry expectations, meaning your own as well as others?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you hold in everything, it creates emotional suffocation. I don't
It
think we
does.
recognize that. It really does. It suffocates us. And breathing out, when you breathe out, it releases anxiety. Like
Mm-hmm.
just at the beginning, we took that we breathed in, and then we breathed out. And we was like, oh, that felt so good, right?
Yeah, it did. It
Because
did.
it was a release. We released that anxiety, we released that guilt,
Mm-hmm.
the need to control everything. How many of us like I gotta take care of this, I gotta handle this, I gotta
Mm-hmm.
do this now because if I don't, but who said you had to? You were
Mhm.
never meant to carry it all,
Yeah.
right? You were never meant to carry it all. So let me give you another question for thought. What are you holding that God never asked you to hold?
Mhm.
Those are the
Mhm.
questions. What are you holding that God never asked you to hold?
Right.
Because a lot of us are holding things that God did not tell us to hold at all. He
We have
said,
no
He just
golden.
said in His word to cast all your cares to Him. That's everything,
Mhm.
right? That's everything. So we need to learn to surrender. That is the key word. When you breathing out, you are surrendering everything in His care, in His hands, right? And you are walking away from it. It's one
Mhm.
thing to surrender, it's another thing to walk away. You got to learn to walk away.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not Naya said that part.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Go ahead, Tisha.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna go back to earlier
Mhm.
this year where I was like almost had a panic attack the first week of 2026, right? And
Wow.
I was like literally praying, and then God was like, "You said yes."
Mm-hmm.
I was overcommitting myself,
Mm-hmm.
literally, and I
Mm-hmm.
was saying, all these projects and different things. Um, that I was like, okay, sure, I can do it. And then once the year began and things started to pick up,
Right.
in the on the business side, getting more clients and things like that, a lot of the other things that I committed myself to, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
get to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was literally sitting there like, God was telling, yeah, you said yes. You said yes to that. You said yes to this, yes to that. Because I always like to help. I always like to, it just comes from my personality, is always feeling needed and everything, and always want to be that team player. But a lot of times, I always have to constantly tell myself, you're only one person. You can't carry everything. You can't pick up every project. You can't, be on every single Zoom. You know what I mean? Like it was a
Right.
point where I was like on every day I was on Zooms, and not just one Zoom, like 2 to 3 Zooms a day. And it's
Wow.
just like, and like a lot of them, what, half of that was not even business related. So I had to learn to just scale back and say, let me just send out some text messages and tell certain people, hey, listen, I know, this is coming up and I was going to come to this, but I can't. I know I had this that I want to do it, but I can't. And know that, ladies, that when you start to do that, when you start to focus on the main things,
Mm-hmm.
and eliminate some things, people are going to be upset with you. People, because
Yep.
sometimes your presence bring a certain level of support, a certain level of
Right.
excitement or whatever, and you got to be okay with that. Because it's I had to tell myself, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather disappoint people than disappoint myself. And that's what I had to constantly keep telling myself over and over again. I'd rather disappoint other people than disappoint myself, because I have to show up and do it. And when I pour into things, I pour into things 1,000%. I even have a meeting right after this. So we always got to remember that first things first, you choose to carry what you choose to carry. And I'm laughing because I used to make that mistake of thinking like, oh, people putting all this stuff on me. People put, you ain't got to receive it. You don't even got to receive people's attitudes. Okay, I've been in an environment with certain people for over 2 decades that had attitudes, gaslighting, discard, all that stuff. And I'm like, I ain't even gotta accept that. Okay, they got an attitude. Okay, let me go finish eating my, chips or whatever and go on about my day. Like, God bless you, but I don't gotta carry even your attitude or your bad day or your mental behavior. You know what I'm saying? So even when people are giving us that or projecting that to us, we don't have to carry that. Just to say, well, that's just them, but I'm going to still be okay. Even when certain people who walk in the room and you may feel like, oh my God, their presence gets me upset. You let it get you upset. You're carrying that. You got to release it. You have to release it, y'all, because that's the biggest detriment. Some people may say it's just an excuse. I call it a detriment. That's the biggest detriment to your peace. When you are choosing to take on too much, and also when you are choosing to take on other people's personalities, because everybody got some type of personality, whether it's a great personality, whether it's a sucky personality. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that on. And for me, you got to get out of the habit of caring about what, and I tell my kids this all the time: stop caring about what other people think. The word even says man will never be satisfied. You can give somebody $1 billion and they still want to want more, something else from you. It's just the way some spirits, some people are just designed. You will never satisfy a person. You can't do it. Can't do it. We're not God. You know. Some people ain't even satisfied with God. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't. So you got to remember that too. And I listen. I tell my kids that all the time. Don't care about what people think about what you're wearing. Don't care about what people think about what you're saying. Don't care about. At the end of the day, they will. It's going to be something that they're going to try to pick apart. You could come. You could show up as your perfect best. It's going to be something's out of order. Something's out of place. So the color's not right. It's always going to be something. So don't even allow that to dictate your life, your day to day.
Right.
Live in
Right.
a world of surface level appearance where everything is like, Instagram and all these things and surface level appearance. And people are always trying to outdo somebody else. No, just be yourself. That's it.
That's
Release
it.
all that.
Yeah, be yourself. There's no need to overwhelm yourself with so much stuff that honestly you don't even have the solution for a lot of things that's going on in your life. You really, really don't. It's all
Mm-mm.
head base, you know.
Mhm.
You just
Mhm.
need to try to get rid of it because it's just so much pressure. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And
Yep.
we fall prey to that. You're like,
Mhm.
I have to handle it. I got to fix this because I got to take care of my family. I take care of my
Mhm.
kids. I got to do this. Da, 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 da. No, you don't. You
Nope.
don't. You don't need to do all of that, right? So let's move to our last point, ladies. Our last point, right? So
Yeah.
breathe in, we breathe out, but we need to breathe
Mhm.
deep.
Be deep.
Okay. Remember who you are. Remember
Yes.
who you are. So here are some more scriptures, two scriptures here that you need to write down and meditate on this later on in the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verse 10. And the second one is Psalm 139, verse 14. And it says, thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your
Mhm.
workmanship is marvelous. How
Mhm.
well I know it. Right.
Mhm.
So sometimes overwhelm often causes identity confusion.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And when life presses in, we tend to forget,
Mhm.
that we are valuable, that
Yeah.
we are important, that we are loved, that we are chosen, right? And that God strengthens us,
Right.
so when we get overwhelmed, when we get tired, when we get stressed, he's the one that will give us the strength we need to persevere forward in that day. So
Mhm.
deep breathing, it fills your lung fully. So when we
Mhm.
take that deep breath, whoo, it fills our lungs. And when
Mhm.
when we breathe, we feeling it. We feel
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
spiritually rise, we breathe in deep means we fill in our hearts with truth instead of fear.
Mhm.
Okay, because a lot of times, dealing with today's situation, we get anxious about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they
We
sure do.
really do. And sometimes we don't think about it. We think that when we don't think about it that we're good. But honestly, we are truly thinking about it.
Mhm.
If it's not happening in our mind, our body is affected by it.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's what causes so much emotional stress, physical stress,
Mhm.
all these things. Your body start to act all wiki wonky,
Mhm.
symptoms that start to, you get flare-ups, like you said, panic attacks, all these things
Mhm.
start
All
to
these
happen.
things. Yes.
So instead, what we need to do, we need to replace this instead of in saying, we normally would say like, oh my God, I can't handle this. This is too
Mhm.
much. Right? We need to
Mhm.
say, my God is with me. My
Yeah.
God is with me.
All the
Honestly,
time.
right? Or
Mhm.
if sometimes we may say, I'm not enough.
Mhm.
We look at ourselves, we look at the lack of education that we have or whatever, but God says his grace is sufficient.
Mhm.
What he supplies for us is enough to get us through the day.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this question. What lies have you been believing about yourself?
Mhm.
Right? Because I said, like, sometimes we say, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable
Yeah.
enough, I'm not
Yeah.
intelligent, or this, that, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So other lies have you been
Mhm.
believing about yourself? That's the
Mhm.
thing. When we say these lies about ourselves, we believe them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, if you really let that ponder, it really hits hard.
Yeah.
Because one thing for somebody to say something negative about us.
Right.
We get ready to fight them and cuss them out and all that other stuff. But it's another thing when we say it about ourselves.
Yeah, it is. Words are
It
everything.
it hits differently,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
So again, we gotta take courage. That you are not just, you're not just surviving, y'all. You are sustained by the very breath of God. He is the one that is carrying you.
Hmm.
Again, as I have mentioned before, his breath is about life, it's about restoration, it's about healing, all those things. And so we got to remind ourselves,
Hmm.
about that. When
Hmm.
he breathes life in us, we should be at peace of mind knowing that he is carrying us as well,
Hmm.
right? So but yeah, so let me just give you these closing points. I have wrote this down, so that's why I'm looking at I had to write
Go
this down.
ahead. Go ahead.
Let me give you these closing points. So the first thing, as we said, breathe in slowly. Number one, breathe in slowly. Why? Because God, you are here.
Hmm.
When we breathe in, especially when we feel overwhelmed and anxious, you just say, God, you here. You here.
Hmm.
You got this. You got them.
Hmm. You
You got
got
her.
this.
You got, yep. You here. Right. When we breathe out slowly, you say, I release this to you. God, I
Hmm.
here. So I'm just going to release it to you. I'm being real with you, Lord. It's hard to let go because I always like to be in control of things. Right? Just keep it real with him because you
Hmm.
are talking from your heart. That's what matters to him is the heart. He looks at the heart,
Hmm.
right? And then when we breathe deep, you say, I trust you, right?
Mm.
You trust him.
Mm.
Don't trust no one but him. Don't even trust yourself. You can't trust yourself right now because you're too overwhelmed.
Hmm.
You got too much going on. But you
Hmm.
trust him enough because he will direct your path. He will show you the way. Even if he tells you, just be still and know that I am God,
Amen.
right? You be still. Now you
Hmm.
can still be active doing other things,
Right.
gives you peace, that gives you joy, you know. But as far as the other things that's weighted us down, that has caused so much anxiety and stress, let him take care of it.
Let's do it.
Let him do it, right? So you don't have to have every answer, y'all. Okay, today is the day. You don't have to have the answer to everything, and you don't have to fix everything for tomorrow. You
Hmm.
don't have to fix anything now, and definitely, God willing, tomorrow you don't have to fix it,
That's right.
right? Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is just breathe.
Just breathe.
That's it. That's it. Just breathe. Go ahead, Tisha.
We make poor decisions
Mm-hmm.
off of emotion.
Girl, don't we?
Okay. And I really want y'all to hear me when I say this.
Yeah.
Why did he say, stay still mentally? Because if you and your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to make poor choices. And I'm not talking about the emotion of anger. Some of you don't get angry. You may get depressed. You may get anxious, like what we said earlier. And then you get into that accepting things as is the way it is, not realizing that things can turn out differently overnight. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Your faith.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are acting on the emotions alone, you're going to make decisions that you're going to regret. I know for
Yeah.
me, you know I'm in the process of writing my book and going through my first chapter. I realized where my original mistake came from and why I
Mhm.
made it. It was because of
Yeah.
emotion of being alone, emotion of loss, emotion of not wanting to grieve. All those things come up, and through those emotions we make poor choices.
Right. We do.
So always go back to, the word says we got to go back, remember who God is. Everything's remember is what, go back and just remember, go into your notes. That's why I got a notebook all the time in front of me, because sometimes we forget what we wrote last week.
That's
Oh, let me
true.
write it, let me go back.
That's true. That's true.
We got to do that, remembering. Why I say remember? Because we forget.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all be
Mm-hmm.
honest. When in an angry situation or emotional situation or a turmoil situation, we forget. The,
Mm-hmm.
the word gets foggy to us,
Mm-hmm.
until things settle down, and then we're like, I'm sorry, oh my God, forgive me, all these things, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
gotta just breathe and take a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do this all the time with my kids. I told my kids years ago, I was like, I'm not spanking y'all no more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have
Mm-hmm.
conversations. We're gonna talk, and it's not to say there ain't times I'd be like, "Ooh, even today I had to breathe."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
My little daughter, my oldest daughter, I'm like, "Girl, I had to breathe," and
I
we got to do
understand.
that. It take a moment because you don't want to base things off of emotion, and that's one of the reasons why I decided
Yeah.
not to spank my kids because I'm like, how? What am I teaching y'all? When y'all get upset, hit somebody, and then you go to jail. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? When you get older and stuff. So just breathe, and like I said, this particular topic today is very, very timely. With the
Mhm.
weather, with politics, and all these things. We live in a world where it's like, oh my God, this is coming. And people go into stores, they buy up all the bread, they do. I mean, people just running amok, right?
Right. Yeah.
Instead of wait a minute, let me
Yeah.
just breathe here. Let me process this. And that's the thing,
Exactly.
we don't process.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
gotta process because it's through the process where the teaching moments come from, where we're really taking on. And I'm learning that more and more and more. It's just processing things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
for some of you guys, you may have to do what I did. Well, you got to remove some people in order for you to process. You got to say
Yeah.
no to some things in order for you to process. You got to do because
Distance yourself.
yes, you may have some process blockers.
That's
That once
good.
you really sit and get in the room and start to really think and be like, wait a minute, that don't add up.
Right. 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 Right.
You
Yeah.
know, that don't
Yeah.
make sense. That don't add up. That don't make sense. That don't even what?
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
some people that don't want you to get to that point, because again, you're going to really start to make some major changes. So for
Right.
everybody watching, do not operate from this day forward off of emotion. Always
Yeah.
talk about logic. I was going back and forth with somebody via email yesterday. It is so interesting when you know what you know, and then somebody tries to tell you, "Oh no, that's the way it is," and they going off of emotion, and I see it.
Mhm.
I know if a person's answering me off of emotion or logic, and I even said at the end of the email, I was like, "Are you really focus on your logic, not your emotions? Because what you're saying is not making sense." So that's what it's all about. Or are you responding to that email and emotion? Or are you responding to that text off of emotion? Or are you responding to that are you verbally responding to somebody off of emotion? If that's the case, you need to sit down for a moment and process it and think logically and remember because you forgot something. Because if you're going off for emotion, you forgot something. Like, wait a minute, you going out there naked now. Put on your shirt. Remember, you got clothes here. Put it on. Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely. Can you hear anything from on my end?
I heard a little bit of music, but it's not loud.
Okay, good. Because they rehearsing downstairs. So that's why I'm like, oh.
It's okay. It's not loud. It's not loud.
Okay. Okay.
It
Yeah,
sounds good.
when you were saying about, the processing, which is so true.
Yes.
We do need to process, before we go ahead and respond, based on our emotions. And I know for me, I'm working on that. Now, I know
Yes.
that some of us will probably say, but you don't understand the situation, why I
Girl.
get upset and all those things. And it may be a legitimate reason. I mean, not saying you don't have every right to
Yeah.
be upset, but again, you know how we get when we get upset, and especially that pressure cooker. That when it gets real heavy, sometimes we do respond
But
by
doesn't
saying
the
some
word
things.
say that,
Mhm.
yes, he acknowledges our anger, but we can't act on it?
Right, sin not, sin not.
Sin not.
Yeah,
Yeah, you acknowledge it's a real thing. Anger is a real thing. Yes,
yeah,
acknowledge you're upset. You're going through it.
right,
But when you act on it, no,
yeah,
that's a different
yeah.
story. You
'Cause
got to hold account for that.
exactly. You got to hold
Mhm.
account to that. And especially not just so much with your actions, that's one thing he's talking about, but also with our words.
That's right.
Our
Say that
words
again.
is more
Yep.
lethal than the
That's right.
physical hit. It really
That's right.
is. Because all of us have been wounded by words
Yes,
of
we have.
people in our past that some
Hmm.
of us are still healing from.
Hmm.
Okay. So again, you know, even with that, we still have to learn to just cast that, breathe that out, breathe deep so God can go ahead and start cleaning us up from the inside out because
Hmm.
He knows how deep that wound is. He
Yes, it does.
knows
Yes,
the
it does.
pain, He knows the weight. He knows everything that we are going through. We
Mhm.
as his daughters, we're supposed to be enjoying life, enjoying it all. I mean, abundantly. We're supposed to
Mhm.
truly, have a good time in this life. Of course, we're going to have trials and tribulations. He said that we're going to have those things, but we need to take heart and know that he already overcome the world.
Amen.
So we need to just learn how to walk in that, and knowing that he has everything
Calmly.
all exactly everything
Mhm.
all under control for us, and
Mhm.
the plans he has for us.
Mhm.
He already said that the plans I have for you is to bless you, right? Not to cause any harm, but to give you hope, and give
Mhm.
you hope for a future.
Mhm.
So that's something right there that we all definitely need to be excited about. But we got to learn how to just breathe. That's it.
Mhm.
Just keep on breathing, and
Mhm.
that he's with you. He's
Mhm.
got, if you give it to him, he'll take care of it right away, and just trust him with the whole process of it all, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, that concludes our topic for tonight, y'all. I hope that blessed you all. But
Mhm.
please take those scriptures and those questions, and just go ahead and answer those questions on your own, and be honest and real with yourself,
That's right.
and apply those scriptures to your daily time, when you have your meditation time in the morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever works for you. But let that be a blessing to you. That's, his word, he breathed life in the word, so his
Yeah.
word is life. So you take that in. He's cleaning out your heart while you are taking in his word.
That's
you
right.
know
You got to carry them with you. And, I know
it
years ago before I had my kids, we used to do prayer walks. We just walk around the neighborhood by
Oh yeah.
ourselves, obviously, and just be praying and stuff. I mean, get into the basics of that relationship. It's like getting it, praying more, getting the word more. All those things are important.
It is so
All
so
those
so
things are
important,
important.
y'all. We and like you said, girl, like, it's so much going on right now. I mean, with politics, with the weather, with the economy,
Mhm.
with it's just so much going on in everybody's
Mhm.
household. Okay,
Mhm.
everybody's dealing with something,
Mhm.
and it's just too much for everybody to handle and to bear.
Right.
Right. I came across a story recently, and I'm pretty sure you might have saw it on the news or maybe social media, of this pro football player that unfortunately, took his own life.
Mhm.
He was only 25 years old,
Mm.
baby
Mm.
still,
Mhm.
and people are really shocked and really, like, wonder what happened. What
Mhm.
happened?
Mm.
Well, he had a whole lot going on in his life that he just did not want people to know about.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Mhm.
just the bottom line of it. Because if he really wanted you to know, he would have said something about it.
Mhm.
And I guess
Mhm.
in his way was to just, like, well, let me just deal with it my way. But when we have compiled so much stuff in our
Mhm.
lives, it gets us to get to that deep, dark, depressive state. And that's
Mhm.
where not that's and God will meet you there if you
Mhm.
want him to meet you there. But when you get that heavy, that's when you need to say, okay, I need to walk away, I need to step away, I need to
Mhm.
breathe this thing out, exhale this thing out, so I can truly start living my life purposely and be
That's right.
free from it. Because it
Mhm.
can really cause some
It can.
harm to you.
And you guys got to ask yourself, ladies, what are you suppressing? Like when you think
Yeah,
of, people unaliving themselves or
yeah,
people doing crazy, crazy things to themselves, it's like, what are you suppressing?
yeah.
And that's important to answer. It's like we suppress so much
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, whether you don't want to disappoint people, whether you don't want people to be angry with you, it's always something, external,
Yeah.
but suppressing things is not good. It's not. you
Mm-hmm.
you got to talk to somebody, you got to
Exactly.
process,
Yeah.
you got to talk it out, you got to be around people who you feel safe enough to say,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is how I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling right now. You know what I mean?
Because
What
it
do I
affects your kids too.
It does. It
It
does. It's
affects
the
your kids.
Yeah. Yeah, you said something earlier about when you are not breathing or when you're not doing that,
It's
it
suffering.
affects you.
Yeah.
You could project it. It'll project and people be like, I blew up because you suppressed stuff for so long that you just blew up. And
Like a
people
pressure
even make
cooker.
that an excuse that they blew up. Like, no, you suppressed all those things.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that's definitely invigorate. Ask yourself, what are you suppressing? Yeah.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna move forward, y'all. We have our what's news. Our what's
Yay.
news segment is where we actually go ahead and put a spotlight on those individuals who are doing wonderful things across the globe. And so our dear sister Therese has blessed us with another What's News article. And she's going to post it, put it up there in a few seconds. But this is a beautiful queen.
Mhm.
What
Oh
is
yeah.
her name? Her name is Beatrice Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a founder who started a wellness brand in her kitchen. And now she partners with Target and uses her platform to combat medical racism in the US. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, very quickly here, let me give you a brief info on her. So, amid nearly a year long journey with chronic infection,
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice Dixon was caught in a perpetual cycle of medical gaslighting. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. And prescriptions that were more of a quick fix than a real solution. However, after her grandmother came to her in a dream, everything changed. And it was in 2012 that Beatrice was running out of patience. So
Mm.
she'd been dealing with chronic bacterial vaginosis that return almost monthly, and
Wow.
doctors continue to prescribe medication that was
Mm.
more of a quick fix than a long term solution.
Mm.
So
Mm.
Dixon felt she wasn't being heard. So she began
Mm.
to do some research on her own, which was overwhelming in its own right. She
Mm.
says, I was in this perpetual state of taking medication, going back to the doctor and getting another prescription, which then led to doctor's office at Google, which is not the one that you want to be in. You don't want to be on Google trying to figure out what's going on with you, which is true.
That's right. That's right.
Dixon began alternating between medication and holistic remedies. She researched online, but she saw no significant results. So then so her grandmother spoke to her in a dream. She
Mm.
describes how her grandmother, whom she never got to meet, was sitting
Mm.
across from her at a round table. The room was all white with just the two of them in the center. She said she remembered her telling her that I'm not here for us to have a conversation. I'm not going to be here long because you need to memorize what's on this paper because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to solve your problem. So Dixon
Mm-hmm.
woke up with this kind of urgency she never experienced and began immediately jotting down the ingredients that came to her in her sleep. And she began collecting the aforementioned ingredients at Whole Foods, where she was
Mm.
at the time, and a few days later, she created her own formula. And after
Mm.
the next day of using this formula, Dixon was entirely cured of her BV. It had literally gone away. It was crazy. That was the moment when she realized that this is what she's going to be doing for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
So after Dixon perfected her formula, she knew she had to share her discovery. So because Dixon had only raised financially from family and friends and had created the product in her own kitchen, she couldn't afford a clinical trial. So she
Mm.
created her own.
Mm.
Dixon didn't ask for money in exchange for her homemade product, which ultimately became the Honey Pots, best selling the Honey Pot CO's normal.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, she asked that people review the formula and give her feedback on how well it worked or didn't. And her friends and family were hooked.
Mm-hmm.
It got to the point where people were saying, "Look, I can't take this for free anymore. Take some money." So that's when she realized she was onto something. And so when the news hit that the Bronner Brothers beauty show was coming to Atlanta, she took it as her chance to expand her reach.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the best place for us to launch because there was nothing but humans with with vavavas walking around.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So we went to the hair show, and she said she made 600 bottles and sold 600 bottles. She sold it.
Mm.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, so again, this is how much longer? Oh, this is a lot she got to talk about. So listen, y'all go ahead and read this. But at the end of the day, the company had produced around 24,000 bottles and made nearly $250,000.
Wow.
So by the time Target decided to sell the products in stores nationwide, that's how much they had produced at that time.
That's amazing.
This was around 2016. Uh, Excuse me. So of course, she said it continues to grow, not just as a business, but as a platform to empower other women of color to reclaim their wellness.
Mm.
So 2020, let's see, Dixon and the Honey Pot launched its Reclaiming Wellness campaign, where
Mm-hmm.
the company, in partnership with Target, travels to historically Black universities and hosts seminars and talks
Mm.
on wellness and encourages women to reclaim their power when it comes to their bodies. Okay, which is this is really really good. So y'all get a chance to read the rest of this because it's kind of long. I don't want to waste any more time with this, but you guys, this is just absolutely amazing that this beautiful queen, started in her kitchen here by the grace of her, the blessings of her grandmother in a dream.
Mm.
Y'all don't believe in dreams. Y'all better believe in some of the dreams that you have and
You
some
better
time.
believe in them. You better believe in them.
Okay.
And I think for her, it took her suffering so long to really say, "Listen, I need to figure something out."
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely amazing. This is very common amongst so many women, especially women of color.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's when you're not getting the proper medical answers or attention and things like that, we end up getting lost in the sauce. So I'm glad that she discovered a solution. So
Yeah.
y'all definitely go check her out. Definitely go
Yeah,
check her
called
out.
the Honey
Yeah.
Pot, and it's at Target. So you guys could go. And I don't know if I ever came across that or not. I might have. I don't know.
Hmm.
But definitely go check Target if you can, if you want to, because again, I know a lot of people have stopped going to Target, because of how
Yeah.
they acted. But if her business is still going strong even now, if it, then definitely go ahead and support the queen and and help be a blessing to her. But you're right about that too, because again, a lot of women of color, especially when it comes to uterine fibroids, that's another
Hmm.
major issue for women of color, because doctors 9 times out of 10, they will always say it's they don't know, they can't explain in detail why it's happening or where it's coming from. They just
Hmm.
assume it's coming from the uterus,
Hmm.
and all those things. Maybe so, that might be true, but
Hmm.
what is causing it?
What's the
Okay, what,
cause?
what is
Yeah.
the cause? Is it what
Yeah.
we eating? Is it the environment? Is it what?
Yes.
They don't have a definitive answer to that.
Yeah, it could be a
So
combination of things. So
it
even as
can
we
be
talk today about just breathe,
right.
stop the stress. Stress can be that one of the causes. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, ladies, you go ahead and check this article out. Be blessed
Yes,
by that.
please
Thank you,
do.
Maurice, for that. We do appreciate it. So, again, y'all, we hope that you had truly been blessed by this topic tonight. Please take it at heart, and so you can start breathing normally.
Yes, yes. And so we appreciate you guys so much for joining us. We got so much stuff coming up. I know Tawanta and I, we need to have a meeting sometime this week, but we appreciate you guys so much. So thank you guys so much for joining. And remember, love on your sister. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
y'all.